let me ask you a question. Have you ever been exposed for being something or believing that you're something that you're not? Like people found out the truth about you. I want to tell you a story. When I was in college, I spent a good part of the end of my college years, 7 months, doing an internship at a church. It was in northern Indiana. And I remember because as a part of my resume, I put on there that I was capable of leading worship. All right? I don't know why. Like, you know how this is going to end up, okay? What I didn't include on my resume is that no one had actually ever given me a microphone as a part of that process. Now, it's an interesting story because, there's a reason why no one's ever given me a microphone. And it's because I suffer from something that's called tone deafness. I don't know if you know what this is, but really what it comes down to is like I'm not a good singer, all right? And when I say I'm not a good singer, it's not just like oh, he's not a good singer. It's like I'm a really bad singer, okay? In fact, I find myself oftentimes at church in a place where you're supposed to be comfortable, right? And I'm singing, and people will like look back at me. And I used to think like, oh man, like he's really going for it. Like they like it. But no, what I've realized is like sometimes I'll get one of these looks where it's like, what are you doing back there, right? It's like, my wife has told me I'm a terrible singer. So, and she hears it a lot for some reason. But anyways, there came a moment as a part of this internship where I had told these people that I was capable of leading worship. And the reason I put that on my resume is because I knew how to play guitar and I could pick out songs. So I thought, why don't I put this on there? Capable of leading worship. Well, they took that as capable of leading worship with a microphone. And for some reason, they decided that it'd be a good idea to put me on the stage right in the middle with my guitar and with a microphone and be like, hey, this guy said he could lead worship. And guess what? There's this little junior high event, and I got up there. I had a couple high school students. We were going to sing together, and we did it. And I gave my all, and I tried my best. And they never let me do it again, right? That was it. They were like, no, that's not, like, take that off your resume right now, okay? Why did I do that? Why did I put that on there? I know why I put it on there. It's because I was trying to impress somebody, right? I was trying to impress or to make myself look a little bit better than what I actually was. I wonder if you ever find yourself doing this. Do you ever find yourself trying to impress other people? Maybe here's a real practical way of what this looks like. You ever find yourself changing your clothes multiple times when you're at home, trying to find just the perfect thing to put on, just the right thing for the right person, or how are they going to see me, or how's this look, right? That's kind of what that looks like. And if we're all honest, every single one of us deals with this on some level. We try to impress other people. We want people to see us in a certain way. We want them to view us in a certain way. And so whether it's changing your clothes multiple times or doing this or putting things on your resume, or the type of filter that you use, the type of angle that you take the picture, whatever it is, because that's what we're going to talk about today a little bit with social media, is we try to impress other people. So here's the problem that we run into, and the question I want you to wrestle with is this. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's thinking, how much do you care what people think of you? Answer that for yourself. Don't say it out loud, okay? Just think about that answer. Seriously, just think about it for a second. How much do you care what people think of you? I know the answers are going to be across the board. Some of you in here are like, dude, I don't care at all, right? Look what I'm wearing right now, okay? I don't care at all. Don't look at the person next to you, okay? That's not what that meant. But some of you, if you were truly honest, you care a whole lot. You care a whole lot about what people think about you, and you will go out of your way to make sure that people see you the way that you want them to see you. Now, you might be thinking, well, why does this matter? Like, is this wrong? Is this a bad thing? Well, not necessarily, but it can be dangerous, especially as we go into the world of social media. Last week, we started this series, Post It, and we talked about some of the important things that happen behind the scenes, right? The direct messages. If you weren't here, if you were still on fall break last week, we talked about the behind the scenes of direct messages, the things that you say in private, that you send in private, the private chats or whatever it is, even your own messages, text messages, and how what you do in those moments actually reveal your character and your integrity. And so even in the moments behind the scenes, when you're not posting it for everybody to see, it's important and it's on display to God at all times. what I want to talk about tonight are the things that you actually do post, the things that you actually do put out there for everybody to see. And what I'm going to focus on is, what are we trying to accomplish when we post those things? Now, in Jesus' time, I hope that you know this, they didn't have social media, right? They didn't have these things that we can look in Scripture and be like, here's what it says about what to post or what to tweet or whatever it is like that. But it does have some parallel principles that we can reconcile. In fact, Jesus talked about these things a lot when it comes in, when he started talking to the religious elite, the Pharisees, the religious leaders of his times, and how they began to portray themselves to other people that was maybe different from who they actually were. Do you know the word that Jesus used here? Hypocrite, right? You've probably heard that word. Maybe you're familiar with it. Maybe you're not. If you're like, what's that mean? Well, hypocrite, my definition, is portraying yourself as something that you're not. Like a worship leader or something like that, right? Portraying yourself as something that you are really not. That is what a hypocrite is. And so, do you think that's true with social media? Do you think people try to portray themselves in a way that's not really true, or look like they're doing something that was really cool is actually just a picture? We have all of these things. So maybe we should tune in for just a few minutes of what Jesus says about hypocrisy, trying to portray yourself as something that you're not, and what we can learn from all this. Okay? What I'm going to read to you to start with is something from Matthew chapter 23. It's a moment where Jesus didn't hold his tongue against hypocrisy. Now, Jesus was very careful about the words that he used, but there was a moment where he's with his disciples and he's teaching and he decides to kind of lash out, really. If you ever think about Jesus have a moment where he just kind of lays it all out and says what it needs to be said, this is one of those moments. And Matthew chapter 23 is one of the most harshest chapters of recordings of the things that Jesus said. I want to read to you several verses. We're going to start with the first 7. Here's what it says. It'll be on the screen. Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, "The teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you. But do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make their phylacteries wide and the tassels on their garments long. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplace and to be called rabbi by others." Now, these are some harsh words that Jesus says about the religious leaders. But what I want you to see is, this is what he says: everything that they do is for others to see. It's not a compliment. In fact, this is a way to say their eyes were in the wrong place, what they were looking for. And so it's serious stuff that Jesus points out here. There's some things I want us to see, because these issues that he points out about them can be true of us if we're not careful. So as we talk about social media, I'm going to give you kind of 2 ways to think about this tonight, so it should be really easy to remember. And the first one I want you to see is the eye test. The eye test, okay? Answer this question. If you think about the last thing that you posted or put on a reel or a TikTok or something like that, what is the reason that you posted it? What's the reason behind what you posted? Now, jog back to what Jesus said about these religious leaders, what he calls the hypocrites, okay? He says this. He says, everything that they do is done for people to see. Everything, okay? So he gives some examples. Their phylacteries are wide, the tassels, everything. They love to be greeted. They love to be at the best seat. They love for people to look at them in the way of honor and respect. And so everything that they do is done in a way for people to view them in this way. And so it's this eye test. And so if we were to kind of give that scale to the religious leaders, how much do you care about what other people think about you? They'd be off the charts. That's all they cared about. It infected everything that they did, was about how people viewed them and saw them. And so Jesus, what I love about this is he's already warned about this type of behavior before. Remember back in Matthew chapter 6, excuse me. So Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is teaching to a lot of people. And in this moment, he points out some very specific things. We fast forward to chapter 23, Jesus is unloaded on them. But he's already talked about this before. He's already warned the people about what it means to live on the inside first and then on the outside second. And so we talked about praying, fasting, and giving. I want to show you what this looks like in Jesus in verse 2 of chapter 6. So he says, when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues on the streets, to be honored by who? Others. Truly, I tell you, they've received their reward in full. So that's about giving. Then he says this in verse 5, and when you pray, don't be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by who? Others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. Then verse 16, as he talks about fasting, he says, when you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others that they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. What's the common theme? The hypocrites, everything they do is for others to see. And these are religious things. Giving, praying, fasting. You may look at it and say, well, they're still doing it. Yes, but Jesus points out, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it for the eyes of other people to see. And then Jesus says they have received their reward in full. That's it. Their reward is how people see them. There's no other reward for them. So the eye test for you, as we talk about social media, is who are you posting things for and why? Now, that's a little dangerous question. Because I know, because I'm on there too, I know what goes on the inside sometimes. Is it trying to impress other people? Is it trying to make somebody jealous? Right? Is it something like that? Is it sometimes is it to show how spiritual you are? By posting something like that or a Bible verse or something. And none of those things are wrong in themselves, just like giving, praying, and fasting aren't wrong. But what is the motive behind it? Are you following me? What's the motive behind it? Who are you trying to impress? Is it the eyes of others? Or are you doing this out of the right motivation? So Jesus scolds them for this because it was for the eye of the others. So I want you to think about that. And I think that's real because I know what that's like on the inside. So the eye test. Who are you posting it for? Here's the second one. Is the heart test. Okay? The heart test. Jesus didn't stop with the Pharisees in this moment just about that they do everything for other people to see. He continues with what the Bible calls the 7 woes, okay? And in Matthew chapter 23, a few verses later, Jesus unloads some of these things about the hypocrites, and they get very, very serious, very, very direct. And so I want to read just a few of them to you. It's starting in verse 25. So it says, woe to you, you teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and the dish, and then the outside will also be clean. Woe to you, you teachers of the law and you Pharisees, you hypocrites. You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of the bones of the dead and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside, you appear to be to people as righteous, but on the inside, you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. This is strong language from Jesus about the religious people, the religious leaders. And this is a really important thing for us to consider in this area of our lives. Is our heart in the right place? No matter how beautiful you make your picture look or your post or what filter you use, none of that matters because the photo doesn't define and determine who you are. I need you to understand this for a second. Just follow me. No matter what you post out there for other people to see, it doesn't change who you are on the inside, okay? We all know what this looks like on social media. Let me give you an example, okay? If you were to go to my Instagram page, okay, and you were to look at my pictures, in fact, you can go there right now, just click that follow button. Seriously, just go there and just follow it real quick. That'll help you understand what I'm saying. But if you were to go to my Instagram page and you were to look through my pictures, okay? And you can. I'm a public follow, okay? You could even look without following, okay? You could look at all the pictures. You can see all the things in my life. But you know what you're seeing? You're seeing the best of the best, right? You're seeing the best picture of my kids. You're seeing the best picture of my family. You're seeing the best of what we do, the trips that we take, the fun things that we do. You're seeing all of those things, right? You want to know what you're not seeing? The tears and the timeouts and the fighting and the arguments or whatever comes. You guys know what it's like. You have a family, right? Not everything is perfect. But what I post, what you see are the highlights. Are all the good things. It's not necessarily bad. I'm not necessarily saying that you need to post all the negative and awful things of your life. But I want you to recognize this. Everything that's posted doesn't define who you are. It's not even an accurate representation. And even the people that you follow or celebrities or whatever, it's not an accurate representation of the condition of their life. It's the highlights. And the part of the problem when it comes to social media is this. Is we're very much like the dirty cup that Jesus describes. Often, right? So I brought this mug with me, okay? And so this is a mug that my daughter, Willow, made at some pottery place that my wife took her to. And she made this herself, and she loves it. She thinks it's beautiful. You should think it's beautiful too. My daughter made this, okay? And it's beautiful on the outside. See all the colors? In fact, if you were to come up here and touch it, it's textured, okay? It's like it's got a texture to it and everything like that. It's a mermaid tail, I think. And it's beautiful. On the outside, it's beautiful. But imagine what it would be like if every time my daughter used this mug, she didn't wash it out. Well, she doesn't wash things out. We wash it for her, okay? But what if we never washed it out? She had her hot chocolate. She had her cider, she had whatever it is, put it in here and everything like that. And then we just kind of set it to the side until the next time she wanted to use it the next day and brought it back out and poured something else in there and she drank it. After a few times, you know what's going to happen, right? The inside's going to get kind of nasty. You're going to start seeing some stains around there and you're going to start seeing maybe some of the things that didn't get finished or whatever. And it's going to leave some stuff in there. In fact, if I were to give this to you after a few times of not being washed or clean, I said, hey, here you go. Go ahead and pour yourself some hot chocolate. You might look in there and go, I'm not using that. That's nasty, right? You look at, but I would say to you, but listen, look at the outside. It's beautiful, right? The mermaid tail and everything like that. You know the truth behind this. No matter how nice it is on the outside, if the inside is not clean, it's useless to you. You don't want to use it. It's gross. It's nasty, right? You guys understand this, right? You can feel this. This is what Jesus says about you, us. No matter how you portray the outside, no matter how clean it is out here, no matter how much makeup you put on, or no matter how perfect everything is out here, it does not matter unless the inside is clean, unless the inside is taken care of, unless you have paid attention to what is happening inside of your heart. And so this is what Jesus is trying to communicate to these people as he talks about the hypocrites, because what he says about these religious leaders is they do everything for you to see. And it looks great, and they look religious, and they look like they have it all together. And it appears that way. But on the inside, here's what Jesus says about them. He says they're like a dirty cup, or they're like a tomb full of dead bodies. And until we start paying attention to what is happening on the inside of our heart, it does not matter what type of picture that you post. It doesn't matter what type of filter that you have. It does not matter what you post for everyone else to see, or even if you don't post it, it's just the way that you dress at school, the way that you portray yourself. Those things don't matter unless you take care of the inside. That's what I want you to understand. So the heart test is making sure that you care more about the inside of you, who you are, than the outside and what is portrayed for other people to see. I hope you can follow that. Don't be fooled by thinking everybody has their life together on social media. It's not true. You know that's not true. But also, don't fool yourself that what you post defines you. because it doesn't. So, why does any of this matter? I wrote down this truth. If you focus on your appearance before others, you'll lose sight of your purpose and potential with God. If you focus on your appearance before others, you're going to lose sight of your purpose and your potential with God. And so it's important that our eyes and our hearts are in the right place. This is what Jesus talks about. So what I'm asking you to do is this. It's simple, but it's also complex because I don't know where you stand on this. It's simple. Stop, I'm going to say posting, but maybe it's not true for you. Stop posting to impress other people. Post to share. Share your life, your pictures, your things with your family, your friends, all that type of stuff. But if your motivation behind what you put out there is to try to impress or to make someone jealous or to make yourself appear to be something, your eyes and your heart are in the wrong place. It's a problem. Now, if you're looking for value in those things, we've got some things to work on inside of you. And it's okay because this is okay to wrestle with as a teenager. But here's what I want you to understand. Sometimes we find that value in a like, in a comment, in a share, or something like that we put out there for other people to see, and it doesn't have to be that way. What defines you is God's love for you. Now I'm going to get churchy with you for a second. But I think this is a truth that we all need, even as adults, need to remember. That what defines you is who God says about you. That you are loved, that you are His, that you are His child. All of those things. That He gave His life on behalf of you. That is where you find your value, not in how many likes or comments or posts or whatever it is that you can create. And we lose sight of this a little bit because we live in a world that's so heavy and filled with social media, but it doesn't have to be this way. And so I need you to walk away with this truth tonight. Walk away with this. Who you are is more important than what you post. What is inside of you, what's in your heart, your character and integrity, those type of things are inside of you that are more important than what you post for other people to see. I want you to believe that. I need you to believe that because when you believe those type of things, when you believe this, here's what happens. Your relationships will be better. Your mental health will be better. Your anxiety will be better. All of these things, your confidence can be better because it's not driven by something on the outside. It's driven by who God says that you are. So, my challenge, my hope is this for you. Don't let social media turn you into a hypocrite. Okay? Don't let social media turn you into a hypocrite. If you're going to post, make sure it's the real you and not just something for other people to see.